what exactly is mindfulness? We talk about having mindfulness, training in mindfulness, but what exactly is mindfulness? Maybe something sometimes that I don't define in the first class, and let you fiddle with it and train in it for a while. But mindfulness is simply an awareness of your own body or mind about what it is doing in any given moment. It's just what the body or mind is doing in any given moment. And mindfulness is only a moment. It's momentary. So this is perhaps a new understanding for a lot of you, that mindfulness is momentary. So as soon as your mindfulness is extended into many moments, like you're staring at anger, like, oh, there's anger, and then you start holding attention at the anger, it's no longer mindfulness, because you're not mindful that you're holding, you're just staring at the anger. You're not mindful that you're wanting to hold onto you're not mindful that you're wanting it to go away, or you're wanting to learn about it, or that you're hoping something is going to come of it. Right? The mindfulness has been lost once you're sustaining attention, and instead what is happening is you had one mindful moment where you noticed that there was anger, and then now there's some sort of interfering, meddling, trying, holding, hoping going on. And if you're not aware of that, then you've now lost mindfulness, and you're being manipulated by the hoping, wanting, trying, fixing, meddling. And then that defilement of meddling and fixing or holding has now taken hold of you, and it's doing its work. So it's not actually mindfulness anymore. Mindfulness is just a momentary awareness of what the body is doing, or what the mind just did. So for the body, what the body is doing right now, the body's sitting, right? Or there's some movement, sipping a cup, or sipping some tea out of a cup. Right? So there's a moment. We can be mindful for a moment of the posture or the movement of the body. There's a breath that's breathing, right? If we can know or sense that it's breathing in, if we can be aware of that, yeah, there it is, it's breathing in, there it is, it's breathing out, then that's a moment of mindfulness of the breath. Now, as soon as we have that mindful moment, okay, the body's sitting, right? It doesn't take a master, it doesn't take anybody who's good at meditation to do that. Meditation is a totally different issue, totally different thing. So here it is. You can sense the body sitting. Maybe you can have a moment, you notice for a moment that the body is breathing. And then most certainly something else will happen. The mind will do something after that. Try to hold attention to the breath, or wonder, is this, get curious, is that right? Or like what just happened, or dislike, right? There'll be an automatic reaction because the mind is always active, doing something. Then, if you're able to detect what it was that the mind has just done after that mindful moment of the body, then you are just mindful of the mind for that moment of recognition. Notice that the mind has to do what it does first, and then you notice what it does or what it did. That has to happen because in order to gain insight, we can't be fixing and meddling and pushing and trying and all these things, because those are the defilements working, right? We have to be able to see them as they are. We have to be able to see this body and mind as it actually is, not how we want it to be, in order to learn. So because that is the case, We have to naturally let the mind do what it does. Naturally let the mind do what it does. And then retroactively, just a moment later, notice what it just did. And so we have to get lost in thought and then recognize that it got lost in thought. We have to be like, oh, that's so great, and be all happy about something, to notice that, oh, really into something, or really excited about it. We have to get angry first at the car that won't let us through, or get irritated first or angry first, in order to see that the mind reacted in an angry way, that the mind got angry. So for the body, we can notice it right now. It doesn't have to be afterwards, right? We can notice it right now. We can notice it in any moment, the position of the body or a movement of the body. I go up to scratch, right? Or if the eyebrows go up or the hand, arm, finger points to it, right? Then I can know that as it's actually happening. I can also notice it late too. That's okay. But when it happens automatically, it'll be exactly in the moment that it's happening. But I can point to my head and then go and put my hand down. And then after I put my hand down, I clue in and realize, oh, I just put my hand down. Right? So I might not have been aware that I put my hand down, because I just was like, yeah, isn't that great? And then I put my hand down, right? And then it was already down and I realized, oh, I just put my hand down, right? So it can be retrospective, but ultimately that's just when you're training to be mindful of the body. When it's automatic, it's in the moment. It's in the precise moment. But with the mind, it's always a moment later. The event has to happen first, and then we're mindful of it. If we're not doing that, then we're going to be holding, right? What's coming up? Oh, I think anger might come up, right? We're watching in advance. We're doing some sort of focus or holding or applying a technique in advance. So that's incorrect. We have to let the mind be natural and let things come up. We might notice that if you're searching and finding, okay, what's going to come up now? What's going to come up now? Nothing much will come up, and it won't be the natural severity of it either. It won't happen, and that's because there's another defilement that you're not aware of, right? It's the wanting to see what's coming, right? So if you're ever doing that, like, okay, hang on, am I going to get angry now? Is anger coming up because I didn't like what they just said? Where's the anger, right? If you're doing something like that, right, then what you have to notice is the mind that is engaged in what it's doing, right? What it just did, which is looking in advance, anticipating perhaps, or maybe just you can feel the wanting to see what's next. Maybe you can just feel wanting, right? Or feel some sort of holding, that you've now squeezed the mind and not letting it think and be natural and free, but you've pulled in and are holding in some way. It doesn't matter which of these things. There's all these different characteristics of that moment are there, and just mindful of one of them suffices. Whatever's naturally actually there, and you can experience it directly. You can see it there directly, not just guess that it's probably there. Like, oh yeah, I'm probably anticipating what's coming up next. Not up in there, right? If that's what you do, then you can notice there's a body and a mind and I forgot about it. I was engaged in a story there, right? In that moment, you can notice that your mind is analyzing. But in the moment of when you're, for example, when you've gone to like watching in advance, what's arising now, right? To just notice that that's what you did. You went in advance and went, okay, what's arising now? Any particular characteristic of that suffices, as long as it's a real characteristic, as long as you're actually able to identify something. Like, yeah, my mind is kind of tight and unnatural now. It's not the same as like when I was a kid or when I'm joking around with somebody. It's gotten tighter, and I'm not letting the thoughts and emotions run freely in that moment. So we need to practice meditation, but we can see that in meditation, generally it's hard for the mind to be totally free in meditation. There's a little bit of exercise and control. That's why the training in daily life is so important, because we have to, in order to really learn, we have to let the mind be natural, and then see what feeling arose, right? See what reaction happened, and see that in daily life. The meditation gives us that vigor, that energy, that fortitude to be able to then practice in daily life, because we've gotten more familiar with what's the mind wandering off like, what are perhaps different emotions like.